Hello and welcome to our exclusive webinar on comparing US, Canada, and Portugal migration options. My name is Afsana Rahim Lakhani, signing in from Lisboa. I am the moderator for today's evening. We have speakers joining from Canada, Portugal, and India. Our webinar brings together experts from the residency and citizenship sector, property market, and media. This webinar will help you understand the upcoming changes and answer all your queries. After this webinar, you will be able to choose the optimal route for yourself and for your family members. So, the key topics that will be discussed today are investment, Portugal Golden Visa 2022, the details of different kinds of visas and its success to date, overview of migration options, and forecast of the year ahead. What makes Portugal and one of the most attractive options amongst the others? Impact of the Golden Visa changes on the real estate market. So let us watch a short video on Portugal before starting our webinar. I would request the marketing team to please load the video here. Sorry, Fahim, are you there? We are not able to hear the audio of the video.
Mhm.
I guess there might be some technical glitch, but it's a very lovely video that we can watch.
There's no sound. There's no sound.
Mhm.
Thank you for showing us a beautiful side of Portugal. As appealing Portugal is in providing best investment and immigration options, we have our experts to talk more about it. And along with Portugal, we have other options that we will be exploring in this webinar. So let us begin by welcoming our three amazing speakers that we have today. So thank you for the speakers. We have Mr. Prashant Ajmera, we have Miss Marley, and we have Mr. Rahim. So thank you so much for taking the time out for this webinar. So let me start off by introducing our first panelist, who is Mr. Prashant Ajmera, who is a founder, lawyer, and author of Ajmera Lawyer Group. He is an Indian immigration lawyer, NRI, and a Canadian citizen with more than 25 years of experience in the field of corporate and migration law and international trade. He has assisted in HNIs, UHNIs in making investment outside of India in real estate, stock market, businesses, and having a second passport. He has also led several financial events like why and how should Indian NHIs consider investing abroad. Along with this, he has published two books, which are Millionaires on the Move and How to Plan for Your Child's Foreign Education in 2020 Myth versus Reality, which helps a child to have a broader higher education. So, we are very pleased to have you, Mr. Ajmera, and the forum is all yours.
Thank you guys for inviting me. It's lovely to be here and talk about the comparison between USA and Canada. Thank you, Rahim, and Portugal. And generally, why we decided to have this presentations and doing the comparison, because generally people are, particularly when they are coming from an Indian subcontinent, they regularly keep asking the questions first about the USA and Canada, and then they are asking questions about the Portugals, and then doing their own comparison that whether I should go for America or Canada or no, I want to go for Portugal's, and that's continuously this struggles they are doing it, and that's why I suggested to Rahim that we should do this one, and he happily agreed on that one. So we like to do that one, then we like to do it in a basically comparison form, in a point form, in a table form, which would be easier for all the audience and viewers to understand it. So can we have a first slide, please? Right. So before we do this comparison, let me also give you a brief background that a lot of people, particularly when we meet in India and also sometimes in Dubai or in Middle East area, they ask me the first questions. How is the Portugal economy doing it? Because still they have in their mind that Portugal economy is still hasn't come out of the Lehman Brothers shockwaves, 2008 and 9. So no doubt, obviously, at that time between 2008 to 12, there was a problem with the Portugal, Spain, Greece, and all these countries' economy. But after that, the government has taken a number of steps to improve the economies, and Golden Visa is, I think, one of the tool which has been used by the government very successfully, very nicely, where which has invited the investors from all over the world, and economy is completely turned around. So, I mean, I'm not going to go into that analysis or show you the, slides or anything. But people who has a doubt about the Portugal economy, just do a Google search and write down that how the Portugal economy is doing it, and you will find number of articles on this one that what the government has taken the measures. Actually, the European Union is taking a basically you can say learning from the Portugals and telling the other country that what steps you should do it if you want to turn around your economy. So without going more into that one, we're going to do the comparison between USA EB5 visa, Canada PNP Business Immigration Program, and a Portugal Golden Visa Program. So first and foremost, obviously, first question is what is the investment amount? So investment amount for USA is about 800,000 US dollar, and if it is not the targeted employment area, then it's 1,050,000. Whereas in Canada, you know that there are 10 provinces are there. Every province has a different requirement, but it starts almost from 100,000 to up to the $600,000. So depending on the province, the prices, means the investment amount is different. Whereas in Portugal, we know that it's always a $500,000 investments and $350,000 investments. Net asset requirements in USA, how wealthy you are in your home country, how rich you are, they are not worried. They just want to understand from where you are bringing your 800,000. Whereas when it comes to Canada, the government, provincial governments or federal government wants to know all your assets. So if you are worth 10 millions, 20 millions, 5 millions, 2 millions, half a million, they want to know everything. Compared to that one, the Portugal also doesn't require net assets. So the documentation requirements when you do the Canada Business Immigration Program is much more than the US program or a Portugal programs, because not only you have to show the source of fund, but you have to show all your assets. The investment asset class is also a very important aspect because people has a different appetite of making their investment. And when you look at the USA, money has to be in the business, which is a commercial enterprise, but you might doing a different structures, but ultimately your investment USA is into the new enterprise or a new business, which will create a 10 jobs. Whereas in Canada, again, it's in the business. But the Portugal is different in this respect where you can make your investment into a real estate, which Mr. Lakhani will explain you very well. And he wants everybody to come and invest in his projects, nobody else. Also, you can make an investment into funds, which is again regulated by the Portugal authority, or you can do in a business. So in Portugal, in that respect, you have a choice of making an investment, real estate funds and business, which you don't have it in USA and Canada. And that's basically you have to see that to make the Portugal program competitive to stand against the US and Canadian program, which was there way before since 1990. I think the Portugal government has done a smart move to include these three asset class. Starting a business, yes, USA necessary, Canada absolutely necessary. In Portugal, not necessary, because you can put money in a funds or put it in a real estate and you don't have to start the business. And that is the big differentiating factors between Portugal and US and Canada. So it depends on the individual requirements of the investors and what he wants to do. Means we looked at those questions ultimately as we go along. Then obviously the obvious question is asked is what is the age, education, and language requirement? Again, when it comes to USA and Portugal, there's no requirement. But in Canada, if you're doing the business immigrations, you need a 5 band of IELTS, you need the high school diploma, and also in some provinces they put the age requirement as well, that if you are over the age of 49 or 59, then you cannot make an applications because they want to have a younger business people coming to them, not the retirees. Investment only in real estate, again, as I explained, it's not possible in USA, not possible in Canada, but yes, you buy your own house, you buy your own condo or a commercial properties, it is possible. The investment in government approved fund, again, I'm just trying to split it what I just explained before. It's not possible. Again, under the new EB5 regulation, they made it very clearly because some of the regional centers in USA were coming out with the uh, government bonds, and their argument was that it is at a very low risk, but it is a risky and it should be allowed for an EB5 purpose. But in the new EB5 regulations, they made it categorically that if this public bond is available in the open market for everybody and anybody to make an investment, then it will not qualify for an EB5. Canada again doesn't have that kind of a program of investing into the funds or a kind of a bonds or those kind of financial instrument, but in Portugal it is possible. Residency requirement is the most important questions. If you are an investor, look at your circumstances and then see, am I ready to move physically from my country to USA or Canada or Portugal or not? If you are, for whatever the reasons, if you are not in a position to move with your wife, with your spouse, and with your children to a new country, forget about Canada and America. That's not your options. It's not going to work for you because USA and Canada both requires that you move to our country as a resident. And then there is a residency requirement that USA requires that you are going to stay minimum 6 months in a year in our country. But every time if you leave USA, if you have stayed more than 6 months out of USA, then we're going to presume that you are not interested in American green card. And you can have a problem with your green card. Canada, you can go in and out of Canada as many times as you want. But the Canada wants only need to stay for a certain period of time. Whereas Portugal's, the requirement is only 14 days. So that's very, very important. The parents, as a dependent, you cannot bring. Children is a different age, 21, 22, and 18 for Portugal's. Residency to citizenship time, USA 5 years, Canada 3 years, Portugal 5 years. Right to work, it's obviously allowed in all the three categories. Right to do business, again, it's allowed in all the three countries. Children's education is free to a grade 12 in most of the public education institutes, and university education is at the reduced fees. Medical facilities is again in USA, medical facility is not provided by the government, whereas in Canada and Portugal, it's a universal free medical facilities are provided by the government. So again, the question is, are you interested in moving? For whom they should consider the Portugals against the USA and Canada. You don't need to move, or if you do not wish to move, then you want to consider the Portugal as your destinations, and Canada and USA is out of the window. So, and also Portugal's, if you are in Asian subcontinents, particularly in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, then Portugal is near. You have a 6 to 8 hours flight, whereas Canada and USA could be a long flight. So that's also consideration for a lot of people, particularly when you are in the Middle East, to consider the Portugal as a destination for an investment. And the citizenship and the taxation is also very important, whereas in USA it's on a worldwide income, and you are holding an American citizenship or a green card, irrespective where you stay in the world, you pay the tax in USA. Whereas in Canada and in Portugal, it's on a residency base, that if you are out of Canada for a certain period of time, then you do not pay. Just last slides and I'll finish my presentations, and then I'll hand it over to Marley and Rahim. Yeah, so that's the children's age. Right. No, where are we going? Starting a business, so that's done. 18, and then next one, 19 number, please. 19, please. Right. Well, this is now again, it's about the Portugals. I think Rahim and everybody is going to talk about it. So basically, I wanted to give you an overview that when you consider the USA, Canada, and Portugal as an investment programs, look into your personal circumstances and do these comparisons, and then we will give you an idea. So obviously, I'm not an expert. There are two experts are there to talk about the Portugal programs. Marley is there and Rahim is also there. So I'm not sure who is going to talk, but you can talk further about this program. Thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate. And I hope you like the comparison. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ajmera, for providing an in-depth analysis of all three options and how it works for people. So I just want to know, like, I'm also from India and coming from India. I just want to know what is the main intention of people choosing these kind of options. Like, is it migration, or what kind of clientele you have come across?
90% of the clients comes and talks about it, that we are doing it for our children's futures, education, and settlement. 90% in India. And that's why I have written one book, which you mentioned in my introductions,
Yes,
How to Plan for Your Child's Educations.
yes, yes.
So that becomes the major one. But I see the interest for Portugal is there, because for many people in India now showing an interest that, okay, our children are already grown up, or probably they have only one child which is somewhere else, but they don't want to go that far away from India. And they are looking at it, like I had a client who made a specific inquiry to us with about the Portugals. He says, I would like to stay somewhere near the 8 hours overnight flights. I don't want to go to North America. His children are in America, but he doesn't want to go. So
Mm,
these people who are looking at the retirement or semi-retirement quality of life, that winter in India and summer in Portugal's, it's an ideal example or an ideal candidate. And that thought is started coming into in India, because the officially now you can transfer the money, you can make an investment as well.
all right, all right. And I think you also mentioned about the book Myth versus Reality. So, I talking about Portugal per se, like I've been hearing Indians talk a lot about USA and Canada, and we have seen mass number of migration happening. Like last year in Canada, for example, there were 4,30,000 students migrating to Canada. And why is Portugal still, like as you explained, it's one of the attractive options here, but why is it still not in the books of the migrants? Why, like, is it because of the awareness, or like, what is it, what is the myth
Okay.
here about Portugal?
No, see, it's a two parts. To be honest with you, one is the European countries are not as aggressive in marketing their education institute compared to USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and UK. if you have a 10 agents education consultant to recruit for Portugal, I can guarantee you, you will have at least 10,000 students there as well. Because
Wow.
people wants to go out and do it, but that efforts has not been made. Even for Canada, I'll give you my example. 30 years back, when I was doing a Canadian immigration seminar in India, I had to show people in map that the part here in the bottom is America and part in the north is Canada. Now
Right.
the client has more information about Canada than even what I have it. They will come and correct me, Mr. Ajmera, you don't have an updated information, and that's obviously it goes to the technology as well and internet, but that's the reality. So it has to be, if you want to make your country popular, it's not only your project, but it has to go with the quality of life, educations, and marketing that as a country should be done. And that's what is being done with these five countries, particular, and as they are also English speaking country.
Yeah.
And most of the time, when the government of Portugal, if you take an example, with all the immigration lawyers and consultants, they all come and talk about their projects, their product, their services. They do not talk about the Portugal.
Mm.
And that needs to be done very systematically, and seminars should be meant for that one rather than we talk about the program. Because when people get more interested than in the private presentations, we can give them a full spiel of 1 hour about what they are interested. But that's how
Mm.
I believe it should be done.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you. I think the main motivation is to see where my future will be for me
Yeah,
and my kids and how our life will be settled in a country, along
that's,
with having the best education and a good lifestyle.
that's
So,
right.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajmera. I give the
Thank
forum
you.
to other panelists to have any cross
Sure, go ahead,
questioning.
please.
And
Thank you.
we have Dr. Mali as well, who is also a lawyer. So, if any cross questioning or any discussion that we want to have here between the panelists, the forum is open.
Uh, yeah, maybe I can ask a question. Dr. Ajmera, excellent presentation. From the comparison, it makes an absolute sense to see the differences between the different countries, the different programs. We see on the ground that there are challenges in many for many investors, there are challenges in just understanding and streamlining.
Yeah,
One thing that I think is a step up, which we recently heard, was just as simple as it may sound. Schengen visas will very soon be online.
online. Yes, yes, that was a
Which
relief.
which should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah,
Let's be honest about it. But I think what you are saying is being heard in different corners of the political circles, in the business circles. So, and it goes through recommendations and whatnot as well. So I think it's a work in progress
mhm.
when it comes to Portugal. But this is exactly where the opportunity is also there, right? Where while things are being work in progress, once it is, then it will be probably much more difficult also. So I think this is sort of a silver lining right now, where the opportunity still is. So yeah, I
For
mean,
the immigrations, I can say, Mr. Lakhani, that whenever you have a chance and whenever you qualify, there's two things.
yeah,
You have a chance and then you qualify. Take an advantage of it. If you think that, okay, I will do it when things get better, it never happens.
that's exactly true. Yeah,
Because you are dealing with the government agencies in whichever country you are doing your immigrations, right? And I know I have a client that when I do it for a brother who is an older one, and he says,
yeah,
okay, let him go to Canada and get it settled, or in USS, and I'll do it afterwards. The process might take sometimes 2 years, 2.5 years, or 3 years. By the time this brother has reached Canada, the regulation has changed, and now the younger brother doesn't qualify. So here also, like we saw in Portugal last year's, people will say, I want to go to only Lisbon and Porto, Lisbon and Porto. Now they waited, and now those options are gone for the real estates, right? You have to go somewhere else. So you have to make
exactly.
a compromise. And I know that it's going to change over the period of time from those two cities to other one. Then government might say, you know what? Now we had enough real estates. Let's forget about that one. Let's do something else. They will keep changing as well. And it continuously happens. It's
Yeah.
not going to be there forever. EB5 was the only animal in business immigration category which was there for 30 years without any change. 30 years without any change.
That's
No doubt the
that's
first 20 years nobody was talking about EB5, but EB5 was the only program which I have seen since 92. I was involved with EB5 since 97.
Wow.
It's not changed until recently in March 2022. 30 years.
wow. So yeah, I think one of the things that I think I also take here, and I think Dr. Marley can probably be an advocate for this, is that not too many changes are not good.
Yeah.
Consistency in program, I think, will it takes time to market a specific program throughout the world. For people to understand, people to see that it actually works. It takes time. So maybe you can talk to your friends at immigration.
The immigration will not do it, but see Rahim, the way in which it has been, the country has been marketed, is the government agency will not go and talk about the immigration. It's against their ethics,
Of course,
policies, and
their
everything.
policy.
They will not do it. But it can be a trade missions from Portugal to India. So just give you an example.
Hmm.
And when the trade mission comes, it's a combination of everything. Then the in that package, the immigration is bundled in.
True, true.
Okay, and similarly, like we can do it from in India, that take the people who are interested in European markets and bring them to Portugal,
Yeah,
probably 3 days or 4 days or 6 days a program where they'll spend a 2 3 days meeting the company there, and in Lisbon and in Portos, and then do all this kind of a things. So those kind of a trade missions could be an ideal opportunity to do it, where probably your Chamber of Commerce in Portugal's or Department of Commerce of Portugal is in contact with the government agencies. So there's some heavyweight from the government is there to do this one, and then we just go along with them.
absolutely, absolutely. Right. I think we have to piggyback on some
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's
organizations
piggyback.
already
I mean,
for sure.
I did piggyback as soon as I arrived in Canada. I
Yeah.
landed in Canada in '94, and just 1 month after, I was on a Team Canada trade mission to India. So the
Okay.
Canadian Prime Minister John Chrétien was there, 300 businessmen were there. So those 299s were talking about the business. I was talking about immigration.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So we do
So
have official Canadians leaving Canada very soon. Early, yeah. Rahim being a Canadian as well, residing in Portugal, and he will be here to discuss more about the immigration solutions as well. However, let's move towards our next panelist in the room, Dr. Mali, who is here, and she's one another dynamic personality, Dr. Marley Esteves, who is a lawyer at PACT Ore da Cunha. She's graduated in law and masters in legal sciences by the Faculty of Law in Universidade Católica Portuguesa. She postgraduated from that university, and she focuses her legal traineeship in immigration and foreigners law, tax, real estate, and corporate law. She wrote her master's thesis in criminal tax law entitled Cosa de Justificação de Desculpa em Materia Tributária em especial problemática do pagamento de salários em contraposição ao pagamento de impostos, published by Universidade Católica Editoria in June 2017. Don't kill me, Dr. Mali, after my Portuguese.
Now it's perfect.
We're very proud to have Dr. Marley to our webinar, and the forum is yours, Dr. Marley.
Thank you very much, Afsana, for your presentation. I would like to start by thanking 7X Portugal Fund for the invitation. It is a great honor to participate in this webinar. So let's talk. Let's start to talk about the Golden Visa program. The Golden Visa is created since 2012. Our office is working with this type of visa since then, and it is a special residence permit for investment activity. activities. This is a kind of regime that is created for any person who may be interested in obtaining a residence permit in Portugal while performing at the same time a profitable investment. This can be very interesting for foreign nationals who want to obtain free access to the European Union, and the Golden Visa can be obtained through 8 different ways of investment. We have decided to look further into obtaining golden visas through the venture capital fund, as we feel it has many advantages over the acquisition of property, which since the beginning of 2022 has been more limited, as my colleague explained. We can move forward. Regardless of the type of investment, all beneficiaries are entitled to residence visa waiver for entering in Portugal, living and working in Portugal. The only condition that the program has is that the investor has to stay in Portugal for 7 days at the first year and 14 days in the subsequent years. There are visa exemption for traveling within the Schengen area. They can apply for family reunification, applying for permanent residence, and for the Portuguese nationality too, when the investor fulfill the requirements. Entering in the advantages of investing through the venture capital fund, we can move forward slide 2. We can say that briefly there is simplicity in the investment process, no tax on the purchase of the product, no tax on the maintenance of the product, no annual tax, and a reduced taxation on exit. There are great advantages obtaining a golden visa through the venture capital fund. In comparison with other types of investments, we can move forward to the slide. In comparison with other types of investment, we can say that the acquisition process is simpler than the one through the purchase of a real estate. There are no taxes such as the real estate transfer tax or stamp duty associated to the acquisition. It does not have an annual tax associated with the property ownership, such as the municipal property tax. Does not require the investment to be static for the 5 years compared to the transfer or the 1.5 million euros. And there are no delays in negotiations or in the conclusion of the deal and work, such as those that arise in the acquisition of property of urban rehabilitation. The rules, thank you. The rules for applying for a golden visa changes constantly, which forces us to be aware of the changes. Currently, the investor open a bank account in Portugal, make the investment. We help the investor with all documentation and with all the issues that the investor have in this procedure with the bank, and everything that he needs. Then we submit the process in the SEF platform. We will have to wait for the pre-approval. When we have the pre-approval, we schedule an interview. The investor came to Portugal with Schengen visa or without it, if it is not necessary. And then the investor came in person to the interview. With our help, we prepare all the document that is needed to deliver at the immigration authorities. And then we will have to wait for the final approval. When we have the final approval, the investor has the card in his hand, on her hands, and the process is completed. Our office has a 100% approval rate in golden visa requests and other type of visa, but since we are talking about the golden visa, our approval rate is 100%. What is the general, most of the requirements that most of the investors question about the what is the requirements that we need for start a process. The applicant for the golden visa must provide the passport. We can move forward to the other slide too. The passport, a proof of legal entry and permanence in national territory, all the a valid Schengen visa if it is necessary. You need to bring the criminal record certificate duly updated, translated to Portuguese, apostilled or legalized, and we need a bank and management company statement proving the investment. These all the documents that are in Portugal. We help you when we will help the investor with everything that they need. How does in what concerns to the renewals? Most of the question is how do renewals work? The residence permit, the golden visa, and the most of the residence permit in Portugal is granted for a period of 1 year and may be renewed subsequent periods of 2 years. This is the main rule. With COVID and the pandemic situation, the immigration authorities changed this rule and allows the person that is entitled with the residence permit to have extended period, but the main rule and it's 1 year, and then we have renewal in the subsequent periods of 2 years. After the fifth year, the holder of the residence permit may be applied for a long-term residence visa or the Portuguese nationality if he or she is interested. In what concerns to the permanent purposes, the applicants must present evidence that he or she stay in Portugal for 7 days in the first year and 14 days in the subsequent 2 years period. This type of residence permit allows the investor to apply for family reunification. That it's a great advantage. Finally, our clients most of the times are very interested about the fees. So we bring these slides to this webinar because we think that it's very important to the investors and who are interested in this kind of program to know the fees associated, the government fees. These fees are updated annually. This year we have 533 years for the investor and for the family reunification when we apply for the golden visa at the first stage, and then when with the conclusion and the final approval, we have to pay 5,325 years per person, and when we make the renewal, it's half of this price. These fees may be updated annually, but now these are the fees that it's in force this year. We to talk about our law firm. We are an independent law firm for more than 10 years. The firm is specialized in advising on foreign investments, planning operations, or restructure exits of high net worth clients in order to optimize their investments and access possible risks and contingencies. We are located in Lisbon, but we advise in all our country, and we are totally ready to help anyone that who wants to have this trip with us.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Mali, for the wonderful presentation and taking us to the entire process of how it should begin and how it will look like over the 5 years period. So thank you so much. And we do get questions about the golden visa process and the timeline and how it will look like and is the investment to be logged for the 5 years, and after the investment is been done, after they get the residence permit, is there a guarantee to apply for the citizenship? So we have a
Yes.
lot of times we have been having this kind of inquiries that is the citizenship, because is there a mention of the law? So we if you can clarify like these kind of information.
Yes, after the 5 years, the who is entitled with the golden visa has two options. If the investor wants to live here in Portugal, we can apply for a permanent residency here in Portugal. Okay, uh, and if the investor wants, he or she could apply for the Portuguese nationality. The only requirement it's that he or she has to make a Portuguese exam, because this is the main requirement to this kind of applications. But after the 5 years, we have the investor has these two options, and one of them are guarantee with the if the Portuguese nationality, we have to make the Portuguese exam. But we have lots of clients that make this exam and pass to the Portuguese exam, and we apply for national citizenship, and other cases that prefer to live here in Portugal, and we apply for a permanent visa. But if the investor wants, we could renew the golden visa the 2 in 2 years. Okay, it's not mandatory after the 5 year came here to Portugal to live or apply for the Portuguese citizenship. It is an opportunity that the government uh, uh, gives to the investor. Okay, it's up to the client. What we do, it's when we arrive to the 5 year, we have a meeting with our client, and then we explain the options that the client have, and then we choose what is the better way in each case.
And this same option is available also for the D2, D7 kind of category of visa.
Exactly.
All right, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Amarli. And we have other panelists as well. If there is any questions from Mr. Ajmera or Mr. Rahim, the forum is open.
Yeah, Dr. Ajmera, you mentioned about the comparison between the three countries, and I think
Yeah.
this we may even take an opportunity here with Dr. Marley being present to further get into, because the topic is comparison. I think we can, further compare a couple of different programs also within Portugal, and to highlight, Dr. Marley, if you may, kind of give the difference, especially when it comes to physical presence. Can you give
Mhm.
the differentiation between the three programs that we have in Portugal?
Sure, sure. The D7 and D2, it starts in the origin country. Okay, in the Portuguese consulate, we apply for a visa. Okay, and then we apply in the origin country for the visa, and then when the applicant came here to Portugal, we have to change the visa to a residence permit. The process with D7 and D2, uh, it starts in the origin country. Okay, the golden visa as a exemption to this regime, and allows the investor to came to Portugal. If they don't need a visa, they could came as a tourist, and then we can apply directly without a visa from the Portuguese consulate, issued by the Portuguese consulate. We could start in the golden visa program. We could start the procedure right now. Okay, and with the D7 and D2, it's not possible to start without beginning in the Portuguese consulate. This is for D7 and D2. It's very specific types of visas. Okay, if one wants to come with the pension, or for investment purposes, the procedure starts in the origin country, and the golden visa, we can start it right now without necessary. It's not necessary to start the procedure in the Portuguese consulate.
And
So as I understand, yeah,
go
go
ahead,
ahead,
go ahead.
go ahead,
No,
Mr.
no, go
Rahim.
ahead, go ahead. Please go
Yeah.
ahead.
So as I understand, D7 probably we can say that that's the visa is for a more for a person who is retiring, kind of he has a fixed
Exactly.
income, so retiring
Or
like
wants
so
to
just
to
to
to, to came here to Portugal, for example, if the have a lease, for example, in the some earns, and have some properties we can apply for the DC here in Portugal.
Right. So, but as I understand from the D7, it's I need an income, fixed income, certain income coming out of Portugal, and then I'm coming on that visa. So if I'm a retired and if I have a big pensions coming up, then probably I want to stay for a longer period of time in Portugal. Then you want to go for a D7. But if I'm young, probably between the age of 35 to 50, I'm ready to start my other
Yes, but
life and do
for example,
business or run
for the
restaurant.
for the D7,
I think
Uh,
we
Dr.
lost it.
Amaria, I think your voice is breaking for us.
Can you hear us properly?
Dr. Marley, your voice
She,
is
she,
breaking for us.
she's,
Yeah.
I think
hello.
it's
Yes.
Yeah,
frozen.
we can hear. Okay. Yeah, no, Dr. Ajmera, I think your question makes a lot of sense when you say it is for those retirement purposes. But one of the things that is also interesting is that, yeah, can you hear us, Dr.
I think
Marley?
camera is free, so she has to leave and probably
It
come back.
stop you.
Yeah.
I think we can resume with Rahim's presentation till the time she gets back, and we can
Yeah,
discuss this
and
more
then we'll
further.
continue with the questions later
Yes,
on. Yeah.
yes, amazing.
Just message him
So
that,
we
Yes,
So
I
we have
no
the
problems
last
here.
panelist here in the room, whose name is Rahim Lakhani, who is here to discuss more about newly launched Fund 7X and the team's track record and its investment strategies. Mr. Rahim Lakhani is proud to present 25 million euro venture capital fund named as 7X Portugal Fund, which is a golden visa immigration and investment solution. He's the president and the CEO of the Lakhani Group. So, as the discussion states here about American, Canadian, and Portugal immigration options, he has worked extensively in European, American, Canadian, and also Southeast Asian markets. Rahim, thank you for being here, and the forum is yours to discuss.
Perfect. Thank you, Afsana, for the kind introduction. I will do, again, few slides that are key and important for everyone to kind of, get an understanding about the different things that we're doing. So, Fahim, if you can actually put the team slide, that'll be appreciated. Perfect. So, just to kind of give you a bit of an understanding who we are. So, we are a family office based in Lisbon, Portugal. We are originally from India, from Mumbai and from Hyderabad, and we've been doing real estate development, since 1983. So, a very well versed portfolio in terms of real estate and development. I'm a Canadian actually, and we have been established in Portugal for around 4 years now. In Portugal, we have several different businesses, in the lines of the investment fund, in the lines of real estate development, in the lines of restaurants and chain of restaurants, retail businesses, as well as hospitality related businesses and student housing businesses. So, in essence, what that tells is that we have a great exposure to the real estate and the non-real estate markets alike. So this is about our team. So it's myself, my wife Afsana. She's leading the sales. My sister Azima, who is the lead of construction and compliance, and my brother-in-law Kareem, who manages the finances and the accounting. So a very wide and array of and range of professions that we are, and the backgrounds that we have, from India, from Canada, and from the US. There have been, we've come to Portugal primarily to, when we came in 2018, primarily to understand the investments and now to actually bring the investors from a global perspective out to Portugal. Next slide, Fahim, if you don't mind. So, what I'd like to show you is the licensure that we have for the investment funds. So, we are a licensed asset manager with the CMVM, which is a Portuguese Securities Commission, similar to the US SEC. We have the licensure for both the asset management as well as the investment fund called 7X. It's a 25 million euro venture capital fund specifically to be invested in the sectors of hospitality, in the sectors of student housing, in the sectors of gated villa community development. So these are the main focuses. Next slide, please, Wayne. So, in a nutshell, the venture capital fund holds a few boundaries, as you can see. First is that it's a 500,000 minimum investment for the Golden Visa to obtain the Golden Visa. So, if you are looking for this visa, which basically, as explained by the experts here, allows you to be um, not enforces you to stay in the country physically for more than 7 days per year, which is an excellent thing for especially for the Indian investors who already have a large business, a large venture out in India or out in Canada or anywhere else, but still we would like to obtain the golden visa. They don't necessarily have to physically move. They can if they want to, but there is no enforcing of the law to actually be in the country physically. And unlike Canada, where you must be in the country for at least 3 out of 5 years to become a citizen, so this is the flexibility. This is the biggest flexibility that the government in Portugal offers. Is the exception of you particularly being in Portugal. The other types of visas that were mentioned earlier will require you to stay at least 16 out of 24 months in the first 2 years, and so basically only 8 months out of the full 2 years, and then another 8 months out of the next 3 years are allowed to be outside of Portugal. So it puts some heavy restrictions on your physical movement, and of course, as business owners, we can understand that that is not something that we would like to have. The other thing about the fund, it's a 7 year fund. It matches exactly with the Golden Visa timeline for issuance of the passport. And our target return is a 7%. However, if you look at the slide decks, which will be sent out after the presentation, you will see that our projects have yielded double-digit returns for our investors. So 7% is merely a target. And it's not something that is fixed or guaranteed, but our projects have yielded a good strong returns for our investors. And one of the main things that most people like to understand is the management fee. We charge a mere 1% AUM of the AUM to cover the administrative costs, and there is only a 2,500 euro subscription fee to be onboarded. So apart from this, the investor does not pay for any taxation, similar to the IMT that they would pay when you have a real estate acquisition. There is no IMT. Like Dr. Mali said, there is no maintenance costs, and there is also a tax-free return. So no capital gains at the exit, as long as you are a non-tax resident of the country, which probably you will be if you are not staying for more than 183 days. So this is an excellent vehicle for those investors who are looking for a good wealth balance, as well as an opportunity to obtain the Schengen space, to travel within the Schengen space without the visas, and eventually lead you and your family to a European passport. To the next slide. So I'd like to kind of give you some in depth on what we are doing in terms of the investments. The investments that investors put, these are the areas that We have our assets in, and these are the areas that we specifically work and develop. We have several partnerships now in place with some strong developers in Portugal who have been well established for a number of years. And these are the kind of investments that we will be doing. So in some cases, we would have the fund be a majority ownership. In some cases, it would be a minority ownership with a preferred return. But these are the areas that we stick with, and these are the areas that we feel the most confident with. So, and on average, the deal size for each investment will be 3 to 5 million. And our expertise in Portugal has specifically been in the areas where we negotiate very well with private owners or banks to obtain financially but not structurally deficient assets. So these are the kind of strengths that you have and the kind of returns that you make by investing with 7x is to have a very strong negotiation team at the front of it to have a very lucrative investment return for the investors, of course, completely tax free. We invest primarily in the greater Lisbon area, within the Lisbon city and greater Lisbon area. But there are projects that we are considering out in Porto and Algarve as well. But there are some really, really good opportunities currently in the Lisbon area, especially because of the fact that Golden Visa for real estate is no longer a possibility for individual investors for residential, but the fund can actually invest in a residential building in the middle of Lisbon and still have people qualify for the Golden Visa because they have invested in the fund and not in the direct real estate. So if your goal was to actually hedge and invest in stable real estate in cities like Lisbon, you can actually still do it by investing in the fund versus owning the assets directly. And our typical investment term is between 36 and 60 months. And after those terms, we exit the investors with a strong return and either liquidate the fund or roll over the fund to another one. So they basically this is our investment philosophy. Next slide, please. Perfect. So I'd like to just showcase to you one asset that we have. We call Quinto de Fourth Value. This is an excellent asset that is privately owned currently, and in the future it will have an involvement with 7x. This is a strong example of a bank-owned asset that we typically invest with. Right now, you can actually obtain your golden visa by directly buying a villa, which is 70% already constructed and it will be delivered by next year. Or you can invest in the fund to obtain your golden visa. Either or, the returns are very strong. And this being in the vicinity of Lisbon is still qualified for the golden visa because of the fact that it is a commercial asset, although looking residential, but it's a commercial asset. And for all ends and purposes, for the immigration purposes, this is qualified as an asset. You can stay in the villas, you can get a guaranteed yield, or you can have a strong variable yield. The development has a strong asset base. It has about 40 acres of land around the vicinity that we own. It also has a large clubhouse on the left hand side. It will have a pharmacy and a supermarket. It will also have an exterior communal swimming pool. You can choose to have your own private swimming pool, tennis court, paddle court, events hall for large events such as weddings, baptisms, corporate events, and whatnot, spa, gymnasium. So a whole lot and just within 15 minutes to the Lisbon airport. So that is what you get as being a part of investing with the Lakhani Group is strong investments, either in strong projects like Into the Fourth Value or in the investment fund, which will diversify your investment in a wide variety of investments. So next slide, please. We'll skip this one just because it's more trends and stuff. So why don't we ask for some questions of Sana if there is some? Yeah.
Yes. Since we are towards the end of our webinar, I would like to have the panelists this opportunity to ask any questions regarding the investment fund and how this can be one of the options to migrate to Portugal.
So, Mr. Lakhani, I'll ask questions. So, your fund is probably a good way to look at it that I can make an investment in Portugal property indirectly. Am I right?
That is exactly the point.
Yeah.
If you want to invest in Lisbon, this is the way to go now.
So it's indirectly, yes. Yeah, because that's a lot of people may not realize it, but I think this is a great idea that you don't want to live there. You want to be in a Lisbon. Now I
Yeah.
can't be there because irrespective of spending the money, then what is my way out? Go through the 7X fund and then get your property. And probably it's more into the commercial one. So I think return would be better than the residential one.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we allow, because we have hospitality projects, we also allow the investors to come and stay 7 days per year, the same way as if they would own
Exactly.
a unit in a hotel or something else. So the
So
idea is the same.
So where these people are going to stay in the same property, or this where they have made an investment like that, or
We have many choices. It would be in the villa property. It would be in one of our hotel projects. They have a wide variety to choose from.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And speaker like me can come and stay.
Anytime, anytime.
Thank you, thank you.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ajmera, for the question. Dr. Amarli, do you want to wrap up with your uh, earlier?
The
Again, I think same problem.
We are facing some technical issues with Dr. Marley's
Dr.
video.
Mali, do you
uh,
mind turning off your video and maybe then audio will.
about the D7 and D.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, we are not able to hear you clearly. If you can turn off your video, I think we can hear
Because
your audio better.
We're gonna ask Dr. Marley to maybe do a recording of the response that she's trying to say.
But also, like one of the things while we getting on to this one of the things I'd like to mention to the people generally who are in India, that they always find a difficulty how to remit their money from India to Portugal through the one account. So there are legal ways are available whereby the money can be remitted from India to Portugal, and we have done it successfully on that one. If you do not have even your assets or a property or money out of India, but all your money is in India, but if you want to remit your money to either in the fund or into the real estate, it is possible and it can be done in a legal way. And that's where we assist people in India to remit the money, because once they made the decisions, another big challenge in India because of the currency restriction is always the remittance of the money and how do we do it and what we do it. And that's what we have done it in the past, and I think it can be done either you are making, because these both investment categories, whether you go for a real estate or for a fund, it is allowed by the RBI to make an investments, and based on that one it can be done investment successfully without any problem.
That's
Afsana?
really good to know.
Yes,
Did
yes,
you?
Dr. Mali.
Now I think that it's working. Sorry for my technical problems. Dr. Parsons, I want to only to conclude our conversation about the D7 and D2 options.
Sure.
I think that it's important to understand that the D7 and D2 options, it's to one that wants to live here in Portugal. The Golden Visa, it is an option who the ones that want to stay in their country and they
Mhm.
make an investment and don't want to live here in Portugal. Okay, the D7 and the D2 options, it's for the ones that wants to move to Portugal and decided to move to Portugal. The Golden Visa, it's a different way for live here in Portugal. That the only requirement is to be here for 7 days per month per year, sorry, or 14 in the subsequent 2 years, and allows the investor to stay in their country and make the all the his life in the origin country without any problem.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely,
Very
absolutely.
good. Good to know. Good to know.
That's great, great
So,
understanding of how the money can be remitted. Also, a differentiation of all the visa categories available in Portugal, and as well as we got to know the investment opportunities in US, Canada, and Portugal, and how Portugal stands out. So, just to wrap up, thank you so much, panelists, for being there, and I hope it was an educational webinar for the audience. And thank you so much for this amazing team behind this webinar for making this as a success. Thank you, everyone.
thank
Bye.
you.
Have
Thank you,
a,
Mr.
have a great
Lakhani.
Bye.
day.
Thank you. Thank you, Lakhani family. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you, Dr. Mali. Pleasure. Pleasure
Bye.